Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. I'm Dave Usher, editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, and it's the morning after the night before. The injury hit Reds trailed 1-0 at half-time to Luton, but came roaring back with goals from Van Dijk, Gakpo, Diaz and Elliott to extend our lead at the top to 4 points. Joining me this morning to talk about this one, I've got Paul Natton and Dan Thomas. Alright Paul, you're the Scottie Pippen to my Michael Jordan today, which I guess that makes Dan Dennis Rodman.
The worm. Dan's the worm. Yeah. Does that mean are you shagging Madonna, Dan?
That can always be arranged, Paul.
Very good.
Oh my God, what a start.
What a start indeed.
Okay Paul, sum that up for us.
Oh, fucking hell. What an absolutely mad game. It was bizarre, crazy. So up and down. It was just mental. Like, and we should have known beforehand it was going to be a mad one when your dad made his first appearance of the season at the Chippy and proceeds to tell us how it's all going to be fine because Queeve's in goal and nothing can go wrong.
And then he went one through his legs for the first goal.
Yeah. And I must admit, like, I do not get spooked at Anfield at all. I can't remember the last time I've been worried. And in fact, I find it like both a little bit laughable and also frustrating when the crowd gets edgy. Yeah. Even in little moments or in games, I just think, why? We're just absolutely imperious at Anfield. We hardly ever lose, hardly ever drop points under Klopp. You know, going nearly 9 years, it's very rare that we drop points at all at Anfield, no matter what the competition. But I must admit, I was a little bit spooked beforehand when I think, was it you that put in the group chat about Maka as well as Mo and Darwin not being on the team bus?
Yeah, he wasn't spotted getting off the bus at the hotel. Someone videoed it. But that could have just been he was still on the bus doing something, or he was meeting up with them later. It could have been anything. But,
absolutely. But that just made me think, when I read that, I was I kind of in my head I thought, well, there's not going to be any Mo or Darwin anyway. I kind of resigned myself to that. Yeah. But then I'm thinking, fucking hell.
Not what we need.
Not what we need at all, because I'm thinking my mind then starts thinking, well, Harvey's going to play in the front three anyway, but then there's going to be no real proven number 8s if Maka's not playing. And then I'm thinking, how the fuck are we going to score? And where's the control going to be? So going into it, I'm like just thinking, my mind's racing on to the problems, which, as I said, is not like me. I normally pretty much always see the positives and think things are going to be fine. That wasn't the case today. And then I just felt the first half, it was just clueless, headless. It was abject. I thought the shape was weird and shit. Harvey was just far too deep, and so was Bradley as a result. I thought Diaz was incredibly wasteful, just frustratingly wasteful. Kelleher kept playing that long ball down the middle, which kept going to their players. We got nothing from those. I thought Gakpo was isolated. We wasted a load of corners. And it just felt like we just didn't know what we were doing. They obviously scored pretty early. I think it was about 10, 12 minutes, something like that. And then the mood in the ground just went downhill, really. The crowd was very edgy, very, very twitchy. And I just couldn't really see where the changes were going to come from, just given what was on the bench. Albeit, like I'm telling myself at the time, Klopp, we know, is absolutely sensational at making half-time tweaks in terms of his message to the players and readjusting what they do on the pitch. And we also know that despite the fact that there's only really kids on the bench, he is, in my view, the best elite manager in the world at getting something out of young players. So my head's telling me those things, and yet my eyes and my gut are telling me something different. And then second half, I mean, fucking hell. It was sensational. Absolutely sensational. I think that's got to be one of the best, if not the best, atmospheres of the season. Yeah. Especially after the second goal went in. I thought the first one was great. The second goal, it went absolutely nuts. Where it kept coming so quickly after Virgil's equaliser. And I think at that stage, it was kind of like, it just became febrile, really. There was real excitement in the ground. It felt like the team were absolutely dominant and on top. And it turned out to be a brilliant result and performance when we absolutely needed that, but it seemed anything but a half time. So yeah, strange game, but obviously we've come away from it delighted, still top of the league, the title challenge is still on, we can go into Sunday without a massive cloud hanging over us. So yeah, mad game, but brilliant feeling this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put in the chat at half time that you were worried, and Brownie of all people was calling you a shithouse, wasn't he, or a tart or something?
Yeah. Well, that's normally what I call everybody else when they have a little wobble. They get called a tart, and Brownie threw it back at me, and I had to say fair enough, like. But that was just the way I was feeling it. Honestly, it was just the circumstances. I think with all the injuries, and I was definitely spooked by the Macca shout, no Macca. That on top of everything else, that made me think, fucking hell, we're gonna have absolutely nothing in terms of supply for the front line, and Harvey being in the front line will hurt us as well. But you know, I mean, fair play to Harvey as well. Second half, it has hit him as much as anybody. Really rose to the occasion second half. So yeah. In the end, all good.
Dan, you're the notorious worrier in the group. How were you feeling at half time?
Don't you dare tell me you felt relaxed.
To be honest with you, I'll be completely honest with you. I wasn't actually all that worried, because in the first half, yes, we were behind, but we should have been 2-0 up before Luton scored. Diaz should have had a hat-trick in the first half at least. He had a very strange game where it seemed that everything was falling his way, and credit to him for just getting his head up every time and keeping on going. So no, I wasn't really that worried. What I was possibly a bit more worried about was that I absolutely bawled down someone's ear, because lots of people turned up late last night with it being an early kick-off. I think it caught a lot of people out.
Yeah.
As Diaz went through and curled it just wide, kind of the second chance that he had, this big blockhead stood in front of me when that was happening, so he got an absolute ear bashing straight down his ear, calling him a selfish bearded prick. So that had kind of put my karma out of kilter. And
what did Jules say to that?
I would be able to look round, Jules. I
can't imagine you doing aggressive, Dan. You're such a laid back, calm guy. I can't imagine you doing aggressive at all.
Was he wearing a referee's uniform?
No, but he was wearing a replica kit with no coat over his
bastard
over his hoodie. That's a bit of a red flag. However, ignoring him, the worst crime I committed last night, and this is something that you're going to both give me grief for, I actually changed my chippy order. I always have chips and gravy. That
worked out well, though.
It did in the end, yeah. But at half time, I'm sat there contemplating. I'm coming on this podcast tomorrow, and I've changed to chips and curry sauce as a one-off. And
Jules did the same, didn't he? Jules went salt and pepper chips with his pie and gravy. Yeah,
weirdo.
Yes,
it's an either or. It's not
nice,
both.
Nice those salt and pepper chips, though. I reckon I'm having them next time. They were delicious.
But moving back to the football of the TLW podcast, we'd created that many chances despite not playing too great. I wasn't too worried, and you always feel with Liverpool, if they step it up just 5% or 10% against better teams, we will steamroll the people. And even though it wasn't a full strength team, it's the power of Anfield, it's the power of Jurgen, and Hurricane Liverpool was in full effect in the second half, and there's nothing that Luton could do. I mean, Rob Edwards was very complimentary about us, wasn't he, after the game? And yes, he is. And I've got a lot of time for his team. Yes, the defensive plan seems to be get everyone in the Taz mission and choke them out. They were very physical, and obviously we had a lot of young lads out there who maybe aren't a match for Luton physically, but they are good at what they do.
They can play as well, Dan. They can play as well. They're just prosaic, are they?
Yeah, they don't just hoof it. They try and play a bit of football, try and keep it, try and back themselves in possession. But ultimately, they're going to get overwhelmed by teams like us when we play like that. Because even with
nobody else has done it though, Dan. They only ever lose by 1 goal.
True, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, how United beat them on Sunday, I'll never know. United's spawn machine seems to be in full effect at the moment.
It does,
which is annoying because I enjoy seeing them suffer. But they're on a decent run at the moment, aren't they? But they're still well adrift. But yeah, it was such a critical game. I know we've got an arguably bigger one on Sunday. Some will argue that it's not as big as the league which I can understand, but we had to let rip with the team we had, more or less. You know, like the changes that we made were not. Like you look at the bench and it's like, well, if we need a goal, if we're still 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, like where do we turn, realistically speaking? Well, he looked good when he came on, didn't he? And we'll come on to that, I'm sure. But yeah, I wasn't too worried in the original point, no, which isn't like me. I was more worried about the fact that if we did lose, I'd ordered curry sauce and chips, and I quite enjoyed it, so I can have that again without worrying.
I wasn't worried either. I was mildly concerned only because of the stakes involved. If that was just like a normal game, if we were like well clear at the top, or if we were well back and it didn't matter, I would have just expected us to roll them over second half. And not just because it's Anfield and we'll turn it round. Based on what I've seen in the first half, because I was amazed at how open that game was. The gaps between Luton's midfield and defence, it was fucking unbelievable, because I thought they'd just be like dead compact and hit us on the break and make it difficult for us. There was space everywhere and we just didn't take advantage of it because the final pass was either shit or Diaz was wasting a chance. There was just so many opportunities for us to do stuff there. Right,
were they going man for man, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. They were just man for man marking, and that just meant there was like nobody in the middle of the pitch, because like, our players were going all over the place. And I definitely think the way we played was based on that, because Diaz was all over the place. Diaz was hardly ever on the left wing. Diaz was just popping up everywhere. Harvey was moving around everywhere as well. I definitely think that that's where there was space everywhere, because they were just following man for man, and it was leaving big gaps. So then you play it in like to Gakpo or to Gravenberch in the middle, and you want them to get turned and running at them. And that happened plenty of times. Like, I just, at the end of it, we just didn't capitalise. And it happened right from the start. I think it was like a minute, maybe 2 minutes in, and there's a ball over the top. And Diaz is like running clear. And it's like, how's that happened against a team who you'd think would just be sitting deep in numbers? You don't expect a ball like that to be catching him out. And I thought, like, Diaz had a lot of chances in the game. I thought that one was by far the worst, because he's running onto a bouncing ball and the goalkeeper's coming out. There is nothing easier than just lobbing it over the goalkeeper when it's a bouncing ball. It's not like the Núñez finish the other day when the ball's on the ground and you've got to scoop it. A bouncing ball, it's the easiest finish in the world, because the motion of just like hitting that ball in the air, it's going to come down. It's so easy to do. And he didn't take the shot for some reason. He just hesitated. And then he ends up like, can't even remember what happened. I think he got tackled and he just didn't get his shot away and he got tackled. I'm like, that was an open goal, basically. Because all you got to do is get it over the keeper and it's an open goal. So that was the worst one. And then he had the one which you mentioned before, Dan, when he put it wide. I thought that was unlucky. That's just one of them things. He's tried to bend it in the corner and he's not missed by much, but it's on his left foot.
That was good, though.
It's not an easy chance, though. It's like, you can hit the target and people go, he's hit the target, but you're probably not going to score just by hitting the target. You've got to go for the corner. He tried to bend it and he's just not bent it enough. I can live with a miss like that. That's just one of them things. The first one when he didn't take the shot, I'm like, what are you doing? Maybe it was too early in the game for him, or I don't know, but that was bad. But we had so many opportunities in that first half. Diaz had 4 or 5. There was other chances where like Gravenberch could have played Gakpo in and he's had a shot, and just little things like that. But Klopp was going fucking ballistic at the main stand again, and the Kop as well. He was having a go at the Kop at one point, but mostly like at the main stand. And it wasn't so much having a go at the main stand itself. It was certain individuals like sat behind the bench and he's picked up on stuff they've said. And the one was when Harvey was trying to play a little through ball for Diaz. And I don't think Diaz covered himself in glory with like
didn't make good runs, did he?
And I don't think Harvey's then hit the pass at the wrong time and he's overhit it and it's gone out. And it come just after Harvey had done something else where he'd given it away. And some dickhead in the main stands obviously shouted something like, fuck off, Elliott, or whatever, something along those lines it'll have been. Because Klopp immediately turned around and he was pointing at this specific guy and he was fucking screaming at him. And a lot of the time I just think, you know what, Jurgen, just fucking shut up and coach the game. Don't be worrying about that. But I feel like last night it was justified, because there was panic starting to set in to some extent.
Definitely was.
It wasn't the whole crowd. It's not like everyone was shitting themselves, but there was enough of an undercurrent.
And building throughout the half as well.
To make you think, just fucking relax, will you? We're in the first half here. It's Luton Town. We're getting beat 1-0, but we're creating chances. This is not a time to be panicking. The goal will come. You just got to just chill out a little bit. But you could sense it was building a bit, and that's why Klopp was getting like really agitated about it. And he said, like, his reason for why the first half went the way it was we were in too much of a rush in the final third. And I think that's probably right. I'd put it down to us just being shit in the final third. But, you know, it's two sides of the same coin, I suppose. We were shit because we were rushed. You know, we just kept making bad decisions or, like, you know, poorly executed passes or finishes. But it was heartening that the game was so open, because it's not what I thought it would be. I thought Luton would just be like really tight and, you know, it'd be scrappy and we'd have to fight for every chance that we got. That wasn't the case. It was really easy getting into the final third. And when we're getting in there, sometimes we're like, you know, 1v1 against the defender or 2v2. I'm like, where are all their players? But it must have just been because of the man marking aspect. They just weren't all like sat in a low block. So I wasn't that bothered at half time. I was annoyed. I was frustrated at like how poor we'd been in the final third. But I did think we're going to create loads of chances in the second half. And, you know, you've just got to make sure you take one. The one concern was I did think they carried a threat on the break.
Yeah.
You know, that Benny is like so quick. All it takes is like one pass in behind for him and then he's squaring it and someone's got to tap in, you know. And that almost happened at one point. He did get behind, but nothing came of it. So that was the only thing that I thought, if it goes 2-0, the crowd's going to totally...
Well, just before their goal, Doughty had flashed one across the goal, hadn't he? And so just before it went 1-0, they'd had another opportunity. So I agree. I thought they weren't constantly threatening, but they had a threat about them. They did have the capacity to create something.
Because they were putting men forward. They weren't scared. Yeah. They weren't playing defensive at all. They were having a go. Dan, the goal. What are your thoughts on the usual? Would Alisson have saved that? Which is what we ask every time a goal goes in. I'm saying probably, but I don't necessarily class it as a bad mistake. What are your thoughts, Dan?
I think it's a mistake. I don't think it's a bad one, but it's kind of just popped through his legs, hasn't it? Which it's not the first time we've said that this season. For me, what troubled me was that Chong made the run from midfield far too easily. He managed to burst into the box, and you could see that coming, couldn't you? But he got away, and I think he's gone for a shot, and it's turned into a cross. It's
definitely a shot.
Oh, definitely a shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Queeve was anticipating the cross, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, and we've talked about this whole front-footed goalkeepers thing before, haven't we? And he's tried to. I think he's tried to flick it away with his feet, possibly, and it's just gone through his legs, and it's an easy header at the back post. But yeah, for me, what annoyed me about that goal more was the fact that Chong kind of just had an easy run. He was easily able to bundle his way through and get the shot come crossing. So I don't think it's a huge goalkeeping mistake. Would Alisson have saved it? Probably. Can we hold Kelleher to those standards? No. Is it an unforgivable mistake? Absolutely not. So it's mountains are being made out of molehills with that one, I would say. But I do want the goalkeeper to do better there, to be honest.
Klopp said afterwards that they had, they were getting in down our right hand side a little bit too easily. I think that's kind of understandable, with the changes that are being made and players who've not played together before. Like, Conor Bradley's not played that many games, and I doubt he's played many with Harvey as like the right-sided forward, and with McAllister as the right-sided 8. So that's like the first time they'll have all been together.
And Harvey going wandering as well, that was definitely a factor.
Yeah, I just feel like you're going to have some teething problems, which we sorted out as the game went on. But when a game starts and everyone's like in sort of like, they're not all in unfamiliar positions, but we've got enough players who are like, Mac has not played many games as the 8, Harvey's not played many in the front 3, Bradley's not played many full stop, you've got Kwanzaa as the right-sided centre-back as well, so there's not like, you're not putting a team out that's played like 50 games together and they all know where everyone's going to be and all that. There's going to be little moments of uncertainty where you think somebody else is picking up that player but they're not, and it's down to you. And I think that happened a little bit in the first half, but then we sorted it out, because the second half I thought like Luton didn't really threaten much other than Barkley running through the middle and then either having a shot or trying to play a through ball, but they didn't really cause us too many problems because we sorted all of that out. But I do think like that's just a natural result of when you have to make so many changes. You're going to have certain situations where there's like a bit of disorganisation, uncertainty, whatever you want to call it. But I think the chances that we missed in the first half are the reason why fans got edgy. And you know what it reminded me of? I can't remember which game it was, but you remember Klopp lost his shit, and the reason he was really pissed off was because he feels I think it was after the United game, the home game after the United game, and because we'd missed so many chances the week before. I think it was a cup game, and we missed a couple of chances. Might have been a Europa League game, actually. We missed a few chances, and Klopp was going mad because the reaction wasn't like, oh, we've just nearly scored, cheering, clapping, saying, come on, lads, keep it going. It was like people just holding the head in their hands and going, oh, we've missed another one. And he got really pissed off about that. And I think that was his feeling last night. It was like, we're creating these chances. You should be like, just every chance should see the noise level just go up that little bit more. You build that big crescendo, you're putting the pressure on them, and then the goal comes. And that's what happened in the second half, really. We got a little bit of momentum built, didn't we? We were playing at a higher tempo, winning the ball. And I think the catalyst for that, well, there was two things, really. There was the Diaz chance where the defenders made a brilliant block, and then immediately after, like, the ball comes back to Diaz, and there's the handball shout, which isn't given, and
it wasn't a handball.
No, I don't think so either. I don't want to see penalties given for that. It does. His arm does block the ball, and it may well be going in, but I do not want to see penalties given for that at all. It's totally accidental. His arm's like it's
totally natural position.
It's a running motion. It's his back arm, isn't it? His back arm stuck out behind him, but like,
and he turned his face away. Yeah. He turned his face away to avoid getting hit, which is why his arm came behind him a little bit.
Absolutely not a penalty, but a good thing in the sense that when you've got that sense of injustice, you get that bit more loud and, vociferous and that. So it all contributed to it. But there was this happened just before the first goal, and I think it typified the second half. It's like Harvey gets the ball and he starts running with it, and normally he knew he's not going to outpace everybody, but like normally he would stop and he would come back and he'd play a pass inside. He didn't. He just carried on running. So he runs all the way into the box and he loses the ball. Then he tries to win it back, and he does enough to just like put the defender off, and then Gakpo comes in and wins it and gets a shot away straight away.
Oh, it was a lovely shot, that. Down to the keeper's
The keeper saves it for a corner, and we score from the corner. But
Yeah.
that all comes because Elliott was like, I'm
Tenacious.
just going to drive forward here.
Yeah.
And nothing came of what he did himself, but it's that mentality. It's like, I'm going to go at you, and then when we lose it, we're just going to win it back and we're going to go at you again. And I feel like that summed up the second half, just the whole like positive approach to it.
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content, including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary and access to the members-only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook.
I totally agree with what you're saying there about Harvey in terms of that kind of that really tenacious, aggressive mentality that he's got. And I think, people question Harvey about his lack of pace, and also that he's a little bit undercooked physically, although I think we've seen him develop. That
I'm
attitude
is the pace,
no,
but physicality doesn't.
Well, that attitude plus the fact that he needs to develop his core strength a little bit more. But I get the sense he's kind of like using Mo as his role model for
Definitely,
that,
yeah.
and he'll develop. But I think, given his mentality, his intelligence, and his touch, I think all of those things with a little bit more core strength as he just fully grows into his adult body will compensate for the lack of pace. And I just contrast him a little bit with Diaz, because I think Diaz has gone through some, understandable in a way, real sort of emotional, mental wobbles this season. And I think what he is lacking quite a lot is that kind of intent to just drive past players, to really back his own natural talents. So, I want him to go on the outside a little bit more. I want him to just burst past people. So I think it was I think the moment you were talking about before, when the tackle came in, he didn't put the ball in. It's the centre half with the braids. I can't remember what his name is, that lad. I thought he played well, that defender. He had a moment, Diaz, where he kind of like he went on the outside and he should have been past him. And if he'd been more aggressive, he kind of got like half a yard, half a pace beyond him, and should have then just like stepped in, bit of shoulder into the side of him, burst past and put the shot in. But he didn't. He was a little bit more circumspect, allowed the defender to just get his foot in and make the tackle. And I think we see that time and time again from him. Now, to be fair to him, second half, I felt like he didn't let that get to him, and he was more of a threat, and obviously he got his goal. But I think that for me is an issue with Dijk. I think we need to see him come through. I just want to see. I don't feel with him the mentality is there in terms of the self-belief, the aggression, the determination to just take people on and go for it, because his raw talent is all the wider package, all his attributes are ones which should see him being a real threat. If he had it's not a fair comparison really, but I want him to have that more of that Sadio warrior mentality. If he had more of that mentality, he's got all the physical attributes to be a real dangerous player up front. But I just think sometimes he doesn't impose himself quite enough. And I think the flip side is that Harvey was determined that he was going to impose himself, and I think we saw that brilliantly in that moment you just described there. So yeah, totally agree with your comments about Harvey there. It was good to see, particularly as I think he'd been on the receiving end of quite a few of the groans first half.
And I didn't think he was bad in the first half. I think there's just a couple of moments that made his performance look worse
and definitely what you said before about Diaz not giving him the run.
You know, the chance when Diaz curled it wide that we were talking about. The pass from Harvey is fucking brilliant. To even see that pass, never mind execute it. So it's not like he was bad in the first half. He just had a couple of bad moments which sort of clouded everything else. But with Diaz, I agree with that. All I would say is I think he had that before his injury, and I think he's just not quite got that back yet, that like explosiveness to go on the outside. He's always like a little bit hesitant.
It's in his body language. It's in his face as well.
He's going on the outside. You know he's going on the outside, but there's no conviction when he actually does it.
No,
and I just think that's something he's not got back since the injury. But maybe that'll be next season. I think he will get it back. It's just it does take a while.
Maybe. I mean, a broader point about tonight is, particularly with so many sort of peripheral and young players experiencing, a proper febrile atmosphere at Anfield, is that maybe they'll draw something from it. Maybe they'll take some belief in themselves as individuals and themselves as a team from tonight. Because I think that's one of the things that our great teams, we shouldn't underestimate the impact of these performances and nights at Anfield, that they definitely take something from it, I think, psychologically, from coming through big performances and big results. And you might say, what you're on about a big result there, like against Luton, when we were still in February.
But I compared it to Barcelona.
Yeah. I mean, I think if there's one person who can go more over the top than me, it's Jurgen Klopp, and I think he has there. But yeah, I do think that there is that the players need to draw on experiences like tonight, and I think they will, and hopefully he'll do the same, and we'll see it in the remainder of the season.
Yeah. So the first goal, I said to me dad when we got the corner, I said, one of the centre-halves is getting on the end of this because they've just missed. A few corners have come in and they've just not quite, it's just gone over their heads. They've just not got there. Defenders got there, but I felt like that was coming. And then Virgil just heads it in.
Oh my goodness. He was just imperious, wasn't he, Dan?
Did you see that coming, Dan?
Yeah, because Virgil won, I think, pretty much every header in the game that he went for. Personally, I thought he was man of the match last night, because he won every header.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree
every single header, and
his leadership as well.
Captain's example, getting the crucial
Absolutely.
goal.
Yeah. I think he's been a really good choice as captain, actually.
Same.
We weren't really too surprised when he was appointed, were we, back in the summer? But he's gone on to.
I wasn't too thrilled either, if I'm being honest. I had reservations, but no, he's totally prove me
Well,
wrong.
there weren't loads of candidates, were there, at the time? He was pretty much the most obvious one, so he's taken the armband and gone with it, so good on him. But yeah, quality header. And from that moment on, that reminded me a lot of when Endo scored in the Fulham game at Anfield just before Christmas. Like, ball goes in, it's like, right, we are going to go on and win this game now.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, Rob Edwards is probably quite frustrated, to be honest, because if you're Luton, you're thinking, right, just keep them out from set pieces. But they never had a prayer.
There was no stopping him, was there? I mean,
absolutely not.
I just felt he was almost derisive of their attempts to stop him. He just absolutely just shrugged off the attempt to block his run, just bullied his way through, and a really, really good header. And was it one the pod recently? Was it you, Dave, talking about someone heading the ball with their eyes shut, and he didn't.
No, it wasn't.
You can see it on. You can say, oh, maybe I saw it on something else, but it was just a really good. To get himself in that position, to shrug off the challenge, to get himself to some space, and then direct it with power past the keeper, and his eyes followed it all the way in. I thought it was just absolutely brilliant. And then I don't know, there's something about Virgil in moments like that where he looks like, I mean, he's completely alpha, isn't he? He is, and the rest of the team all look to him. And I felt like he then carried that over into the rest of his performance. I thought he was doing things that we don't normally see from him because he felt it was needed as a leader. You know, he carried the ball forward a couple of times. He stayed up front a few times when the ball was up there rather than drop. And it just his presence was a really galvanising force, I thought. I think it was one of his best moments as captain last night. And I agree, Dan, that he was man of the match for me. I thought he was absolutely imperious.
On that note, though, I thought Kwanzaa was quality as well, and
He was.
Yeah.
he had a few Matip-like runs forward as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He freaks me out. I mean, how many years have we talked about centre halves needing to be, you know, they don't mature and develop until later than everybody else, and he is just. You look at him play, and he plays like a lad who's 10 years older. Like he's got 10 years under his belt. I've given up thinking this is like a perfect. And this is just like a honeymoon, and it'll settle down to a more normal level. This is his level.
No, he's really
This is
good.
level. He's superb.
Yeah.
So composed.
Yep, he is. Second goal. Which was the second goal? Oh, the second goal. The second goal was
throw and taken
great.
quickly. Gakpo, wasn't it?
It was quality. That, what a goal. McAllister, like, really quick thinking.
The little glance just before he crossed it as well. McAllister,
and the cross, just fucking
brilliant.
phenomenal. It was Bradley took the throw, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Bradley throw, McAllister run, brilliant cross, and it's right on Gakpo's head. He doesn't even have to move.
He couldn't miss, could he?
No, well, I mean, I suppose he could, but you know, he's finished it well. So
yeah, but it was all in the cross, wasn't it? The cross was absolutely perfect.
It was. Down the roof nearly come off the place at that point.
Oh yeah.
But it'd been building to that.
Road.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that was such a crescendo, wasn't it? Because it was just building up to that moment, and
it came so quickly after the equaliser. It was only like 2 minutes later or something.
Yeah, I don't even know. I know it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 2 minutes.
Like,
it was 56-58.
Right.
Those two goals. So it just felt like almost all part of the one moment. We get the equaliser, then we go ahead, and at that point, yeah, the roof came right off. It went nuts. It went nuts in the Kop at that stage. It was great.
It doesn't feel to me like it was that late. For some reason, I was thinking it was not that long after half time. Like, you know, I was thinking like 5 minutes or something. That's a little bit surprising to me. That
It's on the hour, wasn't it? Just before the hour.
Mm-hmm. So, was the sub, because Robbo comes on, was that after the second goal? We 2-1 up when that change was made? Or was Robbo on for the second? I think it was after, wasn't it?
It was afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, because Bradley went off, yeah.
Yeah, it felt more like giving people a little bit of a rest, didn't it?
That was just protecting our star player for the cup final. That was.
I mean, it was, wasn't it? Joking apart, it was.
No, it was. The second half, he went into midfield, didn't he? He went in like the hybrid role, and he just was like running the game from midfield. And it's like, oh my God, we could play that lad in midfield. And he'd still
the buzz around him when he gets on the ball is palpable. Anfield crackles when he gets on the ball. Everyone is buzzing off that kid. There's definitely something about him which everyone has latched onto.
Yeah.
He's something else. He is special. Special's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually looks like a midfield player. It's great to see us at right back in that second half when he's driving through the middle.
Physically
it's like, oh my God, because he was the one who put the chance for Diaz when the defenders made that great block. That was from Bradley just running at them, wasn't it? And then just slots a little ball through to him.
Yeah. And then he had that one save the keeper got down to save as
that
well.
was a great save. It was deflected, that. And
deflected,
yeah. The keepers made like 3 brilliant saves in that second half. Or the score would be even more emphatic. Because he made that save from Bradley. He made one from it was a low shot, and he dived and saved it. Who was that from?
Gakpo, the Gakpo one. His near post.
I wasn't even counting that one. Yeah, he's made that save as well when we scored from the corner. No, he's had one when he's dived to his right, and he's made a good save.
He made a brilliant save from another Van Dijk header.
I watched that this morning. It comes off his shoulder, you know.
Oh yes, sorry, I've seen that. Yeah, it did hit his shoulder. Yeah, it's still a good save.
Yeah, on that though, you said about like Virgil's just shrugging them off, and it's like, yeah, you're not going to stop me. Did you see who was marking him?
No.
On the goal, it was Ogbenny, and on the second one when it's his shoulder, it's Andros Townsend. Sorry, Andros Townsend, extremely senior.
I thought you was going to say it was Boss Barkley then.
Yeah, this is funny. There was a lad sat next to us. He sat next to me dad, and I've not seen him before, so it's a season ticket seat. So I'm not sure like whether whoever's ticket it was sent it back to the club and this lad got the ticket or whatever. But he's a young lad. He's about 20. Honestly, what a fucking boss lad. He reminded me of me when I was younger.
Oh, fuck!
No. Because he was standing up and he was shouting stuff, and I was just sat there going, you know what? That was me. Like, not that long ago. Like, he stood up and he shouts, "Hey, linesman, you fat cunt!" And I'm like, the linesman's not even remotely fat, but like it wasn't deterring him. And he kept shouting like Barkley, "You fat blue shite cunt!" And I was just sat there, just nodding my head, going, "You know what? Yeah, that was me. That just ridiculous things he was shouting." Oh, but he was fucking boss. He was like such a nice lad, and he was like dead enthusiastic and all that. And he's talking to me and my dad, and I thought, I wish he sat there every game. He's like such a fucking sound lad. But yeah, when he was just like calling the linesman fat, I'm like, look, the linesman was like a proper fucking gym head. You can see he's one of them. He's like working out all the time, and he must have been fuming, like, because if you put all that work in on your fitness and all that, and you've got some knobhead shouting behind you, calling you fat, it's like Frank Lampard. That must have bothered Frank Lampard so much because he's such a physical specimen, and he was always just going, "Fat Frank." It would proper wind you up, wouldn't he?
It wasn't him shouting at Jurgen, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Was pointing at...
No, it was someone a lot closer to the bench. But no, this lad was totally supportive. He was sound. Yeah, I hope he sits there more often. To be honest, it was good. I lost my train of thought there. Where were we?
We're up to the third goal, I think. We've just done 2-1, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Robbo comes on and makes an impression straight away, doesn't he? Wins the ball.
Well, it was weird, their throw-in. They took a throw-in from sort of down by the left-back position and launched it sort of across into midfield. Yeah. Robbo pressed it, won the ball, it broke to Diaz, and then Diaz took it on. And then Robbo kind of like followed him in to offer him the pass, and then Diaz went, just
wisely chose not to pass to Robbo.
Took the right option. And I felt like that was the Diaz that I'd wanted to see in the first half, in that there was real conviction in what he did. There was no sense of doubt. He wasn't hesitant at all. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and did it. And it was, at that point, it just became celebratory, really. I think, the roof came off again. It was great.
The save I was talking about, the keeper made when he's dived to his right, it was from Diaz. Diaz is like running across and gets a shot with his left foot, and keeper made the save. So Diaz could have had 2 or 3 in the second half, never mind the first half.
Yeah.
But I think with Diaz, he was frustrating with his end product, but the amount of ground he covered, and he was popping up everywhere. And I'd said before the game, hadn't I? I feel like Diaz has got to really step up tonight, and I think he will. Yeah. And in the end, he did. But at half-time, I was thinking, if this is your idea of stepping up, fucking hell.
Yeah, it took him a while to get there, didn't
he? But he really did.
He did get there.
He took responsibility just by, the fact he was involved in everything. And you could see he was... It looked to me like he knew, okay, a lot of the other forwards aren't here. this is on me now, I'm going to have to step up. And I think he really tried to do that and take responsibility, and he just didn't have the end product. But everything else was really good, I thought, and it's good that he got his goal and he took it really well. But the last 2 goals both come from Robbo just snapping in there and winning the ball back.
Well, on the fourth, Robbo actually gave it. His pass was intercepted, but then he closed it down himself and got it back. Although he took a knock, didn't he? When he got it back,
he did.
And then Jayden Dans dropped in to collect it, turned, and then lovely little pass with the outside of his right to play Cody in, and then. At that stage, because Cody was just in between the 2 centre halves, but he got tackled. It broke to Harvey and then just wrapped his foot round it, and that was that. It was great. And I tell you what I loved about that goal. Did you see all the academy lads all around Harvey celebrating?
I've got that in my notes. Like I've actually taken some notes this morning. That's in my notes. Like I'd like to see the photograph from that goal because it's like. Yeah. It's Harvey, and then there's like 5 kids there.
McConnell, Dans, Bobby Clark, I think Kwanzaa was there. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
loved it.
That photo will be up in the academy.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
And almost like Harvey's the senior man in there. And what is he like? 20 just?
Yeah, but 100th appearance and marked it with a goal.
Yeah, brilliant.
Lovely finish as well.
And apparently, I think it was our 100th goal of the season as well. I think did John B put that in?
Yeah. 100th goal of the season, and I think I could be
in
wrong.
Harvey's 100th game.
John did message me with some stats, but it's on my phone, and I haven't got my phone to hand. I think it was 67 goals now for the forwards.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And also, I heard on the radio, and I've not checked this, but if that was Diaz's 10th goal of the season, which they said it was. That's 5 players in double figures now.
It is, because Darwin retweeted it. The club put that out and Darwin retweeted it. Yeah, so all 5 forwards are in double figures, and it's the first time in 8 years that we've done it. We did it 8 years ago. So yeah, that is the case. Yeah, all 5 of them are in double figures.
Yeah, no, from 5, delivering the goods. It's just a shame 2 of them were missing.
Yeah, but the importance of having 5 of them, though. We said it. Yeah. I think I was saying at the start of the season that we might, having five forwards could be really important and maybe even decisive this season, and so it's proven really.
It has. It's just we're so much better when we've got the 5 because you just bring 2 on with half an hour to go, and
we still keep racking up the scores when we've got people missing, aren't we? It's 4 again last night.
It's really impressive.
It feels like we've not had all 5 all season, doesn't it? Because of these wretched injury problems we've been having. It only feels like we've had 4, which is still a luxury, obviously, but...
Yeah, we've had a few games where we've had all 5 early in the season, I remember, but not too many recently. Obviously, because Mo's been out for a while. Jota's had a couple of spells out. Diaz was away, obviously. So we've not had that luxury, but it shows the importance of having the 5 because when you've got a few missing, because other teams have had injuries this season as well. Like United have had a fucking shitload of injuries. Chelsea had loads of injuries, but then we've had those injuries and we're top. Like Chelsea have had a load of injuries and the 10th. And it's not just the injuries why Chelsea's 10th, but that's played a part in it. Because injuries, generally, they do set you back and will drop you a few places down the league.
I mean, we've experienced that in the last few seasons,
we've coped. You just don't want it. It's like, okay, we've coped, we've done brilliantly here, but give us a fucking break. Let's just have some of them back, please. Yeah, we've got a cup final on Sunday, and we don't even know who's going to be available. Like, hopefully, Darwin and Mo were just precautionary and they'll be back for Sunday, but I don't know. Klopp wasn't exactly bullish about that, was he?
I know. Slide's gone quiet as well. He was meant to be fit for the final, and now he seems like he's a doubt.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to play. He'd have to be back in training by today, really, I suppose. Today, tomorrow, because he's not going to put someone in after one session. So unless they're back in training, today they'll just do a light session, won't they? Because the players who played last night aren't going to train. So tomorrow's when we'll know, really. I think isn't Friday the day when they usually do the inside training video as well?
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll know who trains on Friday. But yeah, just fingers crossed, because yeah, okay, we've beat Luton without all these players. That's great, but it's Anfield. You know, this is a cup final at Wembley. Just let us have a couple of them players back. And I think we say couple, we know there's only really two who are likely to come back. The others feel like they've got no chance. I know you just said about Dom, but I can't see that.
Who are you two, Dave? The
Darwin and Mo.
Marwin and Dom.
Yeah, I don't see anyone else coming back. Who else you missed out?
No, agreed. I mean, it's very quiet on Curtis, isn't it? There was a sense after Saturday that maybe Curtis was a little bit precautionary, but I don't think it is. I get the sense he might be out for a while.
Yeah, it feels
bone ligament damage, whatever that might be for Curtis.
On his shin?
Yeah.
On his shin, apparently.
Yeah, it didn't sound good.
No.
He's just, we talk about like players being injury prone and stuff like that, but you can't legislate for something like that.
Not impact injuries.
I only ever class that as like players who like Thiago, Sturridge, Lallana, Keita. To some extent matter, but he got over that. Like I wouldn't class Joel as that. I mean, the injury he's got now is totally just unfortunate. Muscle injuries, that's an injury prone player, but when you look at that, what happened to Curtis, it's like, that's just bad luck. And
especially what happened to Jota.
Yeah, and Jota's just awful luck as well. I mean, Jota has had some injury issues, but like, you can't legislate for that. That could happen to anybody. I mean, Mo's Iron Man, but if someone falls on Mo's knee like that, then Mo's got a problem as well. It's just really, really bad luck for him, but yeah, we need a couple of them back, because I wouldn't want to be playing. The other thing as well is, because we're down to, like, I thought the team last night was fine. You didn't look at the team and go, oh, fucking hell, we've got all these players out, look at the state of the team. It wasn't like that. It still looked a good team. Not as well balanced as maybe you'd like, but it still looked like a good team. It wasn't like we were throwing in, we were putting like Clark and McConnell in midfield together and Dan's up front. It wasn't that bad where we've had to just do stuff like that. It was still relatively strong, but that was pretty much all we had, other than like we had two left backs on the bench and we had Kanate. But in terms of like the midfield and forwards, it was like every senior player who was available was on the pitch, and beyond that, it's just kids. So we've just about got enough at the moment, but you can't be playing them like twice a week. So the kids are going to have to come in and play. So I think that Southampton game next week,
oh yeah,
you may have to just basically just put like a real young team out for that game.
Yeah, agreed.
Fancy it, Dev. I'll have a start in net. Fancy
No.
weekend the youth team magic.
I said I'd give me boots away to John, didn't I? So
yeah, like when a wrestler retires and leaves the boots in the middle of a ring.
Yeah, I just left mine in John's living room.
Signed.
Of course. Yeah, John wasn't there last night, but I made sure I took the video for him. The Klopp fist pumps.
What made me laugh is that John also took the video on his telly.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, yeah, Klopp really gave it the beans last night, like all four sides of the ground.
Yeah.
I don't think he was planning on doing that. Like, he done the Kop, and then he done like the Kemlin or the Kenny, whatever. He done that because they missed out last week, didn't he? And then it was Virgil was like pointing at the main stand,
right.
and he was like, "Well, come on, you've got to do that." So then once he does that, then he's got to do the Annie Road as well. So that might become like a little bit of a ritual now, where he's doing like all four sides.
Especially given where he's at now, he's got, is he down to fewer than 10 games at Anfield now?
Yeah, and that's the thing, like dickheads will be going, "Oh, you have a go at Arteta and Arsenal for celebrating," but look, you've just beat Luton and you're doing that. Klopp's going at the end of the season. Klopp's going to like just enjoy every moment of this now. He's going to milk every moment, and it's not just him. He knows we enjoy that. He's kind of doing that for us. He's not doing that for himself. He's doing that because that's what we want from him. So yeah, we're going to get that every game, and I'm really going to miss that.
Me too, because that all stems from that West Brom celebration, doesn't it? Everyone was taking the piss out of us for that. Deflected Divock Origi equaliser at home to Tony Pulis' West Brom, but it was a turning point between like Klopp and the players and the fans, and I'll never forget that. Obviously, at the time it's like, yeah, we're celebrating a 2-2 draw at home with West Brom as a show of unity, but
It wasn't
that unity's
celebrating.
grown
No,
to strength.
that's the point that like everyone missed. We were not celebrating. That was purely like thanking the fans for staying to
with
the
us.
end and like, you know, not turning against them and like we got a late goal as a result of that. It was just an appreciation. It wasn't celebrating, but you know, obviously you get like
That's the optics, yeah.
Evertonians and fucking United fans will all still say now to this day celebrating a draw at West Brom. There was no celebrating involved at all. It was just pure appreciation and like thanking the crowd. That's all it was.
Sean Dyche should do the fist pumps at Goodison so we can get 3 boos out of him.
They don't need Dyche. They don't need Dyche for that, Dan.
No, but it would be nice to see it a little bit coordinated.
Coordinated, yeah.
Oh.
Structured booing.
Structured booing. Fantastic.
Dan, what did you think of the ref?
I thought Mr. Madley was inconsistent and fussy. I think there's a lot of questions about how he handled Luton's physicality with some of the players.
Especially.
Diaz especially, yeah. There was a lot of Tasmissions and chokeholds. But I don't think he made many massive howlers. The ground was up in arms at a few decisions. I didn't think there was huge problems with the way he refereed the game, apart from the like letting Luton get away with reams and reams of chokeholds. Really.
Do you know what? I thought you'd
corners.
been all over because even I got really worked up about it in the first minute, and so Morris pulls Virgil back, which if that's later in the game, it's probably a yellow, automatic yellow because he's pulled him back by the shirt after he's gone. I didn't want to book him for that. That's not what I'm saying. So, but he pulls him back by the shirt. The ref gives the free kick. Virgil goes to take the free kick. Morris stands in front of it and blocks it. And I'm like, okay, now you've got to book him. And he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
And then he kicked the ball away.
Yeah.
I'm standing up and I'm screaming, hey, you've let him have a fucking hat-trick there, referee. What are you fucking doing? I was just unbelievable. It was like 3 yellow card incidents in the space of 10 seconds. And he somehow didn't get a booking for it. I was like, oh, it's going to be like that, is it? And then the keeper was doing a bit of time wasting in the first half as well. But as we've said before, referees, I think they're just told, do not do anything about that. You don't do anything until 80 minutes and then you can act. But I didn't think he had a good game, but it didn't cost us. So yeah, I'm fine with that. He can be shit as long as we win.
Booked about 4 of their players though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did, but I don't think he had much choice with the ones he booked. They were all like pretty obvious ones. Tell you what's mad, he only gave 1 free kick against Endo. I think Endo's got through a game there with 1 foul. He was boss again, by the way. Really good
That's
performance.
just expected.
Yeah. It's his passing, though, like watching the highlights this morning, and you see him just playing these little passes through. Like, he put a great ball through for Diaz in the first half when he just slid and like at the back post and he just couldn't get it on target. And just progressive passing, he just gets it and he'll just like play it into the forwards, like no fuss. And there was the one when Gakpo went clean through because Endo robbed Barkley and then just rolls it through to Gakpo and he ballooned a shot like. But now it's when when Gakpo missed that, my dad's like, oh, he's borrowed Nunez's boots. And I'm like, no, because if it was Nunez's boots, he'd have either hit the post or he'd have hit the keeper or it'd have been a goal. Darwin never puts them in the stands like that. Like getting all like protective. Oh, speaking of which, I got to tell you this. Have you got? Do you know what an axolotl is?
What?
Yeah, it's
an axolotl.
It's an aquatic reptile, isn't it?
It's a salamander that it's fully aquatic. Well, but like they're dead popular as pets now. So Adriana's wanted one for ages. So like a few months ago, like it was, I think she'd got like, it was after the GCSE. She did really well. I was like, you know what? Yeah, get you a fish tank with an axolotl. No Facebook Marketplace this time. Actually, I thought no more messing about with that. I'm just getting it in the pet shop. Any new listeners to the pod who don't know the reference to that, go back and listen to the McAllister pod over the summer. All will be revealed in that. So anyway, I bought her like the fish tank with the axolotl, but I thought I feel a bit bad, like, just it being on its own. So I thought, you need to get 2, really. So we got 2. I said, look, I'll get 1 and we'll keep it in your tank. So you've got 2 of them in there. So she called hers Betty. It's some Taylor Swift song reference or something. Obviously, you know what mine's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We do.
Yeah, so I last week I'm feeding them, so they eat worms. So you feed, they're like blind as bats. So you have to like put the worms on like big long tweezers, and you dangle the worm in front of them, and like they'll smell it or whatever, and then they eat the worm. So I'm feeding them last week. Feed like Betty, put the worm down, woomph, it's gone. Get another worm on the tweezers, put it in front of Darwin. He attacks it, misses, hits the tweezers. And Adriana's like, oh, Darwin, you're so stupid. And I was like, leave him alone. That was close. That was a good effort. I was like, come on. He couldn't have gone any closer there. That's just unlucky. But it just made me think, it's like, you know what? He's just crept into my like everyday life to like a ridiculous extent. Like, did I tell you? I don't think I told you last night, did I? About the incident with the parrot.
No.
Oh no! So this week, have you ever been to Botanical Gardens in Southport?
Yeah.
So
years ago, like.
We go there like maybe like once a week or something. Just it's a nice place to walk with the dog and stuff. So, but they've got like an aviary there with all like exotic birds, like parrots and parakeets and all stuff like that. So for the last few months, I've been like feeding them, you know, so I'll take like, bag of nuts or like bird pellets or whatever. So I've been feeding like the African grey parrots, and I've been trying to teach them to go, Nunes. So I'm taking like the nuts and I'm feeding them through the bars. And every time like I feed the parrot, I'm going, Nunes, because my thinking was, how funny would it be if, like, you know, after a while, if, like, they pick it up. So in the summer when it gets really busy and you've got, like, because it's Southport, so there's, like, loads of Mancs in Southport and, you know, Evertonians or whatever, and, like, they're walking through, like, the bird section and you've just got the parrots just going, Nunes. So I've been trying to train them for months. So I'm feeding, like, this particular parrot to him, like, he's the one who I've targeted, thinking, yeah, you know, if I can get him saying it, it'll be boss. So I've been doing that for a few months. So I was feeding them like a nut through the bars. But because I've been doing it for so long, I've got a little bit like careless now, you know, because I kind of know what I'm doing. But it dropped the nut and it just bit right through my finger. So like, I don't know if you've probably never been bitten by a parrot, I'm assuming.
It hurts.
But I can tell you, it really fucking hurts. It's like, you know those pliers that have got like the little turny thing that tightens it? You know, the gripper pliers.
Yeah.
It's like if a pair of them pliers and a razor blade had a baby, and that's like a parrot's beak. It's like the force involved, because they crush fucking nuts, you know, so like they've got really like powerful jaws. So it went right through my middle fingernail, so my finger's fucking killing me now.
Through the nail?
It bit me nail and sort of slid off the nail into like the side of my finger next to the nail. So it was all like pouring with blood when it happened and that. But I'm like, oh, fuck all this because I'm just trying to teach a parrot to go, Nunes.
There's no Nunes chant from the parrot, but one's going to go, fucking ouch!
No, yeah. You little bastard, what do you think that for? No, I wasn't mad at the parrot. It was my own fault. But
yeah, I love parrots. I've always wanted to own one, and hopefully one day in the future I will. But yes, they have very powerful beaks. But can you
don't give
a
up
parrot
on
in
your
my
mission,
house
though, Dave.
I'm not. No, I'm not letting that deter me.
That's still definitely the way to go. That'd be fucking boss. If you come back on the pod at some point in the next few months and
I'll video it. Yeah, if it does it, I'll video it. But I'm thinking, you know, if Curtis can teach Darwin to say "How are we?" then I can teach a parrot to go Nunes. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. Like I'm gonna keep doing it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like just me everyday life. He's just seeped into that now. Just all like little things, like the axolotl. Like I'm coming to its defence because it missed the worm and hit the tweezers.
Do you know what? I wonder if we've got any pod listeners in Southport. We need to get them on the case.
Yeah.
Everyone who goes to
anyone who goes to Botanical Gardens, take some nuts, take some pellets, and get the parrots saying Nunes.
And take some protective gloves as well.
Yeah. Be careful when you're feeding through the bars. But how good would that be?
It'd be fucking brilliant.
Actually, on the subject of Darwin, did you see Michael Owen's quotes after?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Fair. Thought it was fair. I don't think it's been tried to be cast as snide in some way. Obviously TalkSport have been right on to anything even vaguely with a controversial angle to try and say that he was out of order. I thought he went out of his way to say, not trying to piss on his chips, delighted for him, really good goal, but just in terms of being an elite goal scorer, it's a low chance opportunity. And,
well, I've got the quote here. I'll read it out for anyone who hasn't listened, who hasn't read it. Sorry. So this was like straight after the game when Darwin had scored the goal, and Michael Owen went on Twitter and said, "That finish from Darwin Núñez yesterday was insane. I can't stop watching it, and I can't begin to explain how difficult a skill that is. Moving at pace, the ball running away from you, being inside the box with no room for error, incredible. But it's also further proof that if he's to get closer to becoming the great player many people think he can be, already is, Michael, but anyway, he has to adapt his way of thinking. I mean, to even consider that finish is madness. It's a 1 in 10, 2 in 10 finish at best. Learning to slot, dink or go round the keeper is a far more productive way to score and will increase his chances to 4 or 5 in 10, thus massively increasing his end return. I'm not really trying to rain on his parade, as that goal was pure class, but I'd rather see it when Liverpool are 3-0 up, not at 0-0. Now, I think he's 100% right in what he said, and it's basically what I've said as well. Game knows game. Me and Michael know how to finish. Michael came through behind me at the academy. He's a few years younger than me, but but no, I agree with everything he said. I just feel like it's kind of, everything you've said there is true, Michael, but you may as well just, on Christmas Day, you may as well put a tweet out telling us about why Father Christmas isn't real. It's like, we know that, but just don't. There's no need to be saying that. It's all right for me, some dickhead on a podcast saying it, but Michael, did you really need to say that? That maybe even wait a couple of days before saying it. That being said, I do think everything he said there was totally right. Like,
yeah, no arguments from me. And I thought his comments at the start about what did he say right at the start? He can't say how difficult a skill that is. What a great goal. I mean, that frames the whole thing. He's quite clearly not trying to piss on his chips. What he's thinking about is, how does this fella become truly elite in terms of worldwide global goal scorers? And he's definitely. It's no coincidence that every time you hear any of the great strikers who are pundits talk about him, they're all very clear that he's got the potential to really go on.
We are.
Fuck off. Lineker and Shearer on their podcast, every time they mention him, both of them are convinced that he's got it.
Righty as well.
Right the same. Owen the same. And I think the big thing that they all talk about is the fact that he keeps putting himself on the line time after time after time. His head never goes down. He keeps getting in positions, and that when you keep getting yourself into such good positions, eventually it'll come. And we're saying eventually it'll come. I mean, the numbers are there anyway, really, aren't they? They're just not elite numbers at the moment.
The numbers are fine. They're just not.
The numbers are very good. They're just not quite elite yet.
Yeah.
But that's what these fellas are all talking about. They're talking about that, and that's what Owen's talking about for me. That's how he goes from being very good in terms of Premier League goal scorers to like elite in terms of the numbers. And it touches back on. I mentioned this in the group chat the other day. Really, when I talked a while ago about just stop worrying about the numbers with Darwin and just let him play his game. I mean, that's absolutely what I'm talking about. I mean, he's absolute everything he's given us is really exciting, is really important to how we play, is instrumental in a lot of the positive things that we do, the results that we get. And I feel like the rest will come in time. I went through a period of just being frustrated that it wasn't happening. We just need to accept that it's just part of the process with him, and he'll get there in the end. And I think it's very reassuring to hear all these, world-class players basically say the same thing.
No, I remember that. I remember when you jumped off the bandwagon and left me fighting the battle on my own.
Did not jump off the bandwagon
You did.
at all.
This is who he is. We just have to accept it, I think was what you said.
This is who he is for now.
Yeah, you went from, look what Klopp's done with Lewandowski and all these other strikers. He'll turn him into this. And then, like, a bit of choppy water. And I turn round, I'm like, yeah, Paul, we've got one last battle here. Come on, Paul, where are you? And then there's Paul on his boat fucking rowing his way to fucking hedging your bets island. And now here he is by my side again, talking about, it's
Not true, you fucking
it's what I've said all along. Yeah. Do you know what? I'll tell you what's really funny
you
though.
Are such a prick. Go ahead.
I was listening to the golf podcast that I listened to, and without going into too much detail about golf, but basically, like, the number one player in the world, Scotty Scheffler, is like incredible in every part of his game except for putting, where he's dog shit. But he's still the number one player in the world, even with dog shit putting. So the host of this podcast that I listen to, No Laying Up, so the host's like Solly. He's just, he's not like a professional golfer or anything like that. He's just, basically the No Laying Up lads are just kind of like us, but with golf. So I'm listening to it the other day, and they're talking about Scotty Scheffler and his terrible putting, and Solly goes, I just need 5 minutes with him on a putting green and I could fix all of his putting problems. And I'm driving the car, I'm listening to it, and my thought is, you're some fucking dickhead on a podcast who've never played professionally, but you think you're going to fix the number one player in the world's putting problems. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you're at? And then, like, it hit me. The moment of clarity, like alcoholics have that moment of clarity. That was when it hit me. And I was like, wait, that's exactly what I've been doing about Darwin all season. So it made me think. I'm like, you know what, sorry, you probably could fix his putting problems if you had 5 minutes. I'm sorry for doubting you, because I kind of see where you're coming from now. So I do think he probably could fix it, just give him 5 minutes. And that's what I always said. But I wasn't saying I was the only person who could have fixed Darwin. What I was saying is, like, someone needs to say to him, like, you need to learn the chip finish, the dink, the lob. You need to be learning to lift it over the keeper. And then obviously he has, but it was like, you know what? It was that goal was like he'd already made up his mind before the game. If I get a 1v1, I'm going over the keeper, regardless of the situation and where he is. And then, but did you see in the celebrations? Did you see Robbo?
Yeah.
Robbo's making a little gesture with his hand, like a little, like a dink finish, and
like
Darwin just nods and laughs, and he's like, "Yeah." I reckon he'd spoken about it before, and he said, like, they've said to him, it may have even been Robbo who said it. It's like, just go over him, lift it. I definitely think something like that's gone on, because it was though his mind was made up before that. I'm going over the keeper no matter what here. But I do think Michael Owen was 100% right in what he said. And he wasn't intending to piss on his chips, but I'm like, too soon, Michael. At least wait a few days and say, I've been thinking about this, and great goal, but not to do it straight away. But anyway, we've got a cup final preview.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, have we lost Dan? Dan, are you still here?
It always helps if I unmute my microphone, Paul.
Oh God. Right, so cup final on Sunday. Dan, what are you expecting? First of all, team selection and in terms of the outcome.
Well, the team's not going to be hugely different from last night, isn't it? Just purely because of the injuries that we've got.
Well, Konate was rested.
Konate will come back in. I think Kelleher would have played anyway.
Yeah.
So I would expect.
What do you do at fullback then? If Robbo comes back in, Gomez on the bench?
To be honest with you, I'd start Gomez at left back.
Would you?
Bradley at right back. Yeah, I would. Yeah. It's not necessarily. Don't forget, this is the Carabao Cup. We've rotated all the way through. But with that being said, with Robbo being out for so long, you can make an argument that he should play, because Gomez has played a lot recently. Conor Bradley should absolutely start. Centre halves, Konate and Van Dijk, not a problem. Midfield, we're narrow on options. There's no Curtis. I don't think there's going to be any. Soboslai, so it won't be too dissimilar to what we had last night. Endo, McAllister, and Gravenberch, I would imagine.
Harvey coming off the bench, assuming one or two of the forwards are back.
Yeah, if we get Mo and Darwin back, then it gives us options, because you can bring Elliott into midfield, and up front again. The question is Mo and are Mo and Darwin going to make it? So that we don't know that yet.
And if they are fit, are they fit enough to start?
Exactly. Yeah, Gakpo might start, and Diaz will start, and Gakpo might start as well in that case. In which case you put Elliott in the front three again.
I think one starts, one's on the bench. If they're both fit, I don't think they'll both come into the team. I think Mo's not going to start. I don't think it's too soon for him coming back. So I think Darwin starts, Mo's on the bench if they're both available.
Yeah. I think with Mo and Darwin, I get the feeling that if last night was the cup final, they would have played.
I don't know. I don't feel that confident about it. It threw me, particularly Mo. Threw me. Mo being out, because the way he played on Saturday, there was no. He was just like he just looked really sharp. So has he had a reaction to Saturday, or has he had a further knock, or what's gone on?
Did you watch the inside Brentford video?
Yeah.
Because I didn't pick up on this when I watched it, but somebody mentioned it on Twitter, and then I went back and watched it again. I was like, oh, actually, yeah. It looked a bit like he was limping when he got on the bus afterwards.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that. I might have to go back and check.
Yeah,
that.
It's not that noticeable if you're not looking for it, but it was only because it was mentioned, and I looked. I'm like, it kind of does look like he's got a little bit of a limp there. But they said like he had cramp in the hamstring that had been injured. He got a bit of cramp in there.
Oh, okay.
So that hurts.
Yeah, but they're probably. You're not gonna like play him like 3 days later in a home game against Luton when you've got a cup final coming up. So I am hopeful on that. I do think it was for them not to be on the bench is a little bit of a concern, because you'd think if they were just protecting them, they may have had them on the bench in case we needed like 15 minutes at the end or something. So that's a little bit of a worry, but hopefully hopefully they're available, because I don't really want to go into that game without both of them.
No, we need them, and kind of the injuries that we picked. Like this time last week, I was like very confident about this game and then any game that we were going to play.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel a bit more circumspect and a little bit more cautious, because I really get the feeling, and I can't shake this, is that Chelsea are us in a final. So that's a concern.
They've also just hit. They've had a
good
little moment themselves, haven't they, with getting the draw against City and what have you. But
and they'll probably still win that game.
They're still a flawed side, though, aren't they? They're still very flawed as a team, and I mean, if you look dispassionately at the two seasons and the two squads, I mean, they're far inferior to us, regardless of who we put out. We're just playing better football.
We are, but the injuries is a leveller.
Definitely, and it's also a cup final. It's a one-off game. It's something you can't take for granted at all. No, it's definitely team selection and who we got available is definitely a concern ahead of Sunday for me. And I think I'd feel loads better if Darwin and Mo are in the squad, regardless of whether they start or not. I'd want them in the squad. And definitely agree with Dan. Conor Bradley starts for me. I just think he just gives us, particularly when we're a bit light up front, bizarrely, he gives us front foot. I think playing from right back, particularly when he pushes high up. I mean, I think that was one of the issues last night. In the first half, he was too deep. Second half, he pushed higher up the pitch, and that really helped everybody. But I would definitely have him start on Sunday, no doubt.
And are you starting Robbo or Gomez?
I don't feel strongly either way, really. It depends on where Robbo's at in terms of his fitness. I don't think Joe Gomez deserves to miss out. Klopp might feel he wants some more mileage on Robbo's legs as we go into the crunch time of the season, and he might also just want Robbo's leadership, really, his character on the pitch.
I'm 100% starting Robbo.
For that reason, for the leadership.
I feel awful Joe Gomez not being in the team. But I'm picking Robbo and I'm picking Bradley. But Joe Gomez is definitely getting on the pitch. he will be coming on at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's almost a given these days. Whenever he's in the squad and not starting, isn't it? Because he's just so important. He's just so versatile in what he can offer you. He can offer you different things within a game. To whatever stage of the game you're at, he can help you shore things up. He can help you play the inverted fullback from either side. There's loads of options with him. Centre back,
just gives you cover in every position in the defence, doesn't he?
Yeah, really important player this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm expecting similar team to last night, but just hopefully one of Darwin or Mo in the team. Well, it'd probably be Darwin. If we get them two back in the squads, like you said there, Paul, if we got both of them, I fancy us to win it fairly comfortably. I'm not saying like we'll batter them or anything, but I think we'll win it fairly comfortably. If they're not there, it could be a slog, and you could be looking at like another 0-0, 1-1, extra time, penalty job, which is probably going to be the case anyway, because it's a final and it's just what we always do. So I think it's probably going to be a long one, and maybe Kelleher's the hero again. Who knows?
I think it's a big day for Endo. I think if I think Cole Palmer's a real threat for them, and I think Endo's going to have to be mindful of him, but when he drops into those little spaces between the midfield and the defence, and also Canate, I think because I think Palmer will look for that and Sterling maybe will look for that channel there. So I just think we just got to be focused in on it, and I think if we're focused in on it, and we have a little bit of luck with players coming back, I think we should have too much for them. But we can't take it lightly. It's a final. They've got. Despite how poor they've been this season, they've got some talented players, and their manager will see it as an opportunity to kind of really show that he's making some progress with that squad, because he's under pressure, no doubt.
Yeah, Dan, how are you feeling about the league?
Well, it's getting to crunch time, isn't it? That Manchester City game is on the horizon. If we win that will be a huge step. But it feels glib talking about the league, actually, given the amount of games that we have. I think I was reading on The Athletic last night that it's something like 26 games in 99 days. If we go all the way in every competition, which obviously, hopefully we do. So there's a lot of football to be played. So the league, we keep on coming, don't we? We've had 2 4-1 wins in 4 days against teams that could cause problems if we weren't fully on it. Yeah. We're just getting the fixtures up now. We're away to Forest in our next league game. That won't be a picnic. They're fighting for their lives. We should have enough quality to go there and win it again. Like how many players have we got left? That Southampton team next week. Like I said, Dave, you should rekindle your youth team days. I'll play in goal. We can get Al taking my goal kicks. Get Saraf back at centre half as well.
I do think, though, the Southampton game, I do think we need to basically rest every senior player. Like, everyone who's going to start against Forest.
Yeah, agreed.
Needs to be out of that game.
And I've no shame in doing so. No.
And it's not disrespecting the cup either.
We'll be good enough. Whatever team we put out, it'll be good enough to win as well.
Yeah.
Southampton ain't going to bring a full team because they're in a bad run at the moment. They've had a huge run of form that's got them towards the automatic playoff spots, and now they've had a bad run recently. So their emphasis is not going to be an FA Cup midweek tie at Liverpool. It's just not.
And also, I want to see the likes of Jayden Dan start, and I want to see him have a full.
Yeah,
a full 90 minutes in the first team. I want to see what he does, because I thought his cameo last night was really good. Yeah. He's obviously been doing well in the Youth Cup and for the 21s. So I want to see him. I'd really quite like to see, and I think this may be a step further. I think he'd be lower down the pecking order. He wouldn't start. He'd be on the bench. I'd like to see that Neone, the kid from Leicester. I'd like to see him.
Yeah. Klopp said he almost brought him on last night. He said he thought about it. He said they were thinking, should we put him on as well? And then the game was like, it was 3-1, and he thought, okay, maybe not yet. I think if he'd have got 4-1 earlier, we'd have probably seen him coming on.
March is the month for the boys looking at the fixture. So we've got Forest away, then we've got FC Dog and Duck or Racing Pig and Whistle in the Europa League. Then we're at home to Man City on Sunday.
Fucking huge, that game.
Then we're at home to FC Dog and Duck or Racing Pig and Whistle. And then it's the derby on Sunday the 17th, 2:00 kick-off.
Unless we go through in the FA Cup, in which case... Did you see that? I don't know how true it was, but the talk was, like, if we go through in the FA Cup, the derby gets postponed. And there was a suggestion that because there's no 3 weeks if we stay in the Europa League, the suggestion was that was going to be, like, the end of the season, like the last game.
What?
The derby. Imagine that.
Fucking hell.
We could send them down and win the title, or they could stay up and stop us winning the title. Imagine that scenario.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, don't.
God.
There's
Imagine
a
what
gap.
Goodison would be like.
Boo!
It would be.
Probably.
Oh my God! It would be
I mean,
so feral.
The one of the biggest moments in the history of both clubs. That's fucking mental.
And we're at home
don't
to
wanna
Brighton.
think- don't wanna
They
think about
can't have it at that point. There'd be too much on it, and there'd be too much like potential for fucking
Mayhem.
yeah.
Absolute mayhem.
Imagine what they would do if like, well, either way, if we sent them down and won the league, imagine what they do. But if they stopped us from winning it and stayed up, imagine they're going to be on the pitch no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's not worry about that too much.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it too much.
I know.
That's blown my mind a
Let's
little bit.
throw the Southampton game just so the derby doesn't get moved.
It looks like an international break. Then after the derby, we return with a 2:00 kick-off on the Sunday against Brighton.
International break. Fucking hell.
And
I
then,
thought we were done with them.
like I said, the games just come thick
So have
and
they
fast.
switched the Brighton game to 12:30 yet?
No, it's a Sunday 2:00. It's
I
on
know,
Sky.
but, like-
We're safe. I mean, I had no problems with the Brentford game being an 12:30 kick-off because it's not after an international break. The problem that I have is when it's after an international break.
Yeah, the
which it
problem
always
is that we'd
seems to
already
be.
had 5 of them.
I mean, the fixtures have only been picked until that 31st of March game. Because we have a midweek home game against Sheffield United the Wednesday after that, and then we're away to the Manx on the Saturday. That's currently 3:00. That ain't staying 3:00.
No chance.
So yeah, the games come thick and fast. So how do I feel about the league? Ask me this time. Well, ask me at the end of March, which is a very damn answer to give. I know.
I'll ask you then as well, but I want to know how you feel now.
I'm really worried about these injuries. I think it's going to really impact our ability to rotate and to keep things fresh. And sometimes you just got to look at your bench and say, lads, we're 1-0 down here, it's not going our way, can you help us out? And if you've not got a Jota to send for, or normally he starts, but you take the point. Jones has been arguably our most influential player this season. You could make a very valid argument for that, I think. So suddenly it becomes a lot more difficult. So I'm a bit more pessimistic about that. But Anfield, Manchester City, Jurgen Klopp's last game against them, potentially, obviously we may get them in the FA Cup, although they'll probably draw. The reincarnated ghost of Rushden and Diamonds before they get us. It's going to be a potential buzzsaw, as Jules would call it, for City. Anfield atmosphere, 3:45 on a Sunday. That could be a very special afternoon. If we win that, then who knows? But obviously, I still think Arsenal are a big threat. I know a couple of people on this podcast don't necessarily see Arsenal as the big threat. They see City, and that's fair, because City aren't the force that they were. Because what happened with them, as I called kind of like in October time, didn't I, when they'd lost the goals of Mahrez and Gundogan. They're just not the force they were. They just aren't.
I agree.
Great team, but not the force that they were. Arsenal are coming on strong still. They've carried on the good form from when they beat us a few weeks ago.
Very lucky with injuries, though, aren't they? At the
They
moment,
are,
Arsenal.
yes. And you do feel that Arsenal are a Saka injury away, or
Rice.
or a Rice injury away, or an Ødegaard injury away from being in a similar position to us, where you're looking at your bench and it's like...
Well,
right,
to be similar to us, they'd have to have all of them out.
True.
Yeah.
Depressing,
Plus-
but true.
Plus, like, one of the centre-backs as well, and the goal.
Saliba. Yeah.
I feel much more positive than Dan there about the league. I think I don't feel confident enough to say we're gonna win it, because I just think things are too tight. But I'm definitely all in on the point Jules made before Christmas, even I think it was, when he first said it, that if we win the City game, we'll win the league. I think that is the case. I definitely hear what Dan's saying about fitness. I can't pretend that isn't an issue, but I just think that Klopp has continually utilised several factors brilliantly all season, some of which he's done before and some which are newer this season. I think rotation has been sensational. The use of young players has been sensational. Half-time adjustments has been absolutely sensational. And the use of Anfield has been getting better and better and better. And I said probably just before Christmas that I wanted this to be a season where we started to get into, as we go into the spring and into the early summer, where we have like the big moments in all competitions, like greeting the bus and big games under the lights.
Like Man City, you mean?
yeah, exactly. All of those have those big moments where it just feels like but you know what it feels like, don't you? Remember those seasons where we're going for the Champions League, where we're going for the title, when we were Anfield, it just like the buzz starts long before the game. You're buzzing about it the night before. You're meeting in the pub and everyone's excited in the pub, walking up. You get up there early to see the coach arrive and it's going nuts. The flares are going off. I still think all of that could be in the post, and we are this ridiculously emotional club with a ridiculously emotional manager, and the significance of the fact that he's going. I just wonder if that might galvanise us that little bit more, and just carry us through. I think there's some big stories to be told this season, and I think the biggest one is around the league title. And I just get in the sense that maybe it could be ours, but it still comes down to the City game. I think if we win that City game, we'll win the league. Dan's right to not dismiss Arsenal, but Arsenal are not the main threat.
And
City
Arsenal's
remain
got to go to
the
City
main threat.
as well.
Yeah.
So either way,
which could help us.
Points there.
Yeah.
No, I think the City game, if we win the City game, I think we'll go on to win it. Not because I think we'll go and win every game, but what City are not this irresistible force that's like just going to win every single match. They're just not. They are going to drop some points.
Not chasers either, are they? They don't like chasing things down.
I think it was I know they won the other night against Brentford, but coming off the back of them dropping points against Chelsea, Man City would normally just sweep past Brentford like 3-4-0 without breaking sweat. The fact that it was as tight as it was and they needed a slip by a defender for them to get the only goal, just reinforces the me belief that, going back to what Dan said about the players that they lost, I don't think they're quite what they were, and I can see them dropping more points. And if we beat them at Anfield, then I think Arsenal's going to be the team that we need to be concerned about then, especially if Arsenal were to go and win at City. But yeah, the main thing is if we win the games up until then beat City, and then I think we'll be in really good shape for the run-in then. But
so just remind us, Dan, who were the league games before City? There aren't many, are there?
It's Forest.
It's just Forest.
That's it.
Yeah, we've got a few cup games, haven't we?
We've got
Europa
loads of
League
cup
and cup games, but only one league game before then.
So win that Forest game, and we're going into the crunch game of the league campaign there.
Mm-hmm. We could knock really City 7 points behind us.
Yeah. They would have a game in hand now.
The game in hand goes this weekend, doesn't it? So you're right. Yes, you're right. It would be 4.
Then,
assuming they win at Bournemouth, which Bournemouth will cause them problems, but they probably will. Then it would be the gap would be again, 1 point for same games.
You're right. They probably will win, but I don't think that's a certainty. Just based on it would have been a certainty, but just based on how they've been playing, I don't think it's a certainty that they win games like that now. I think there's always the possibility that they drop points somewhere. Now there's also the possibility that we will. So I'm not saying like that we're just going to go and win every game and blow them away. I think there's twists and turns, because I do think points are going to be dropped, and that's why I think that game at Anfield is like it's vital. Like technically we don't need to beat them for them to, it would still be in our hands. But if we do beat them, I think that makes it like a lot more difficult for City then.
Psychological blow, isn't it? That? Particularly there's a big atmosphere and they feel overawed by it. If we intimidate them, like Anfield can do. So,
and in terms of the fitness, as long as we don't lose any more, I think we're all right. We're just coping about. So far. We're coping with it. If we start to lose more, that's when it becomes really problematic.
I think City is a must-win game just because of our running. we have to go to Old Trafford, which is not going to be a picnic. You know, like as much as it pains me to admit they've improved, they're playing well. They've not really played many good teams.
They're
but
not playing.
You know
well.
what I mean?
They're getting results, but they're still shit. But I'm not saying it's an easy game. That's
I look at that game and think this is a problem. A derby's a derby at Woodison. You know, anything can happen. We don't tend to win there very often. Well, we do. We seem to draw more than we win.
Feels like it's 0-0 every year.
Yeah, a tetchy 0-0, which is very typical of Sean Dyche football, really, isn't it? Let me just get these fixtures back up, because there was another thing that I'd identified that I wasn't. Another game that I wasn't thrilled about. You know, like we've got to go to the places like West Ham and win, and
We've got
Fulham.
Spurs, haven't we?
We've got Spurs, have we?
Spurs at Anfield. I think we'll pace them. I think we'll.
Oh,
we
that
will get
game
hold
there,
of them.
because of what happens, Anfield's going to be fucking bouncing for that game. I think we'll just take them to the cleaners.
Yeah. Villa away. I think that's the last away game, and we're at home to Wolves again on the last day of the
Villa
season.
away is the last away game, is it?
Yeah. Ooh. Villa away, Wolves at home. That's the last two.
I'm
games.
glad. I'm glad the two Arsenal fixtures are out the way. I must admit, I wouldn't want to be playing them from at this stage now.
Yes and no, because yes, I'm glad they're out the way because you don't want them in the running, but no, because we can't affect it. We can affect Manchester City. We can't affect what Arsenal do at this point. And what Arsenal do is out of our control. Whereas with Man City, if we beat them, then that's our destiny's in our own hands when it comes to City. It's not necessarily with Arsenal. But of course, if we win every game, then we'll finish above Arsenal. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Okay, we'll finish with predictions for Sunday then. Paul?
Liverpool win. I just wonder if it might be a game where some of the kids put a stamp on it. Particularly thinking Conor Bradley, but also maybe just a couple of the midfielders or one of the
Bobby Clark, winner off the bench.
Yeah, or Dan, someone like that. I'm gonna go 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay, Dan.
Chelsea on penalties.
Oof.
What? You predicted? Fuck off, Dan.
Just
You
the
predicting
odds.
Chelsea gonna win?
I'm playing the odds, Paul. We beat them on penalties twice in the same season.
Where's that disgusted gif that Jules puts in the group chat now and again of was it Mourinho throwing away his headphones or something? I need that gif right now.
Or Triple H waving away using his hand to wave it away. No, I'm very concerned about that game. Not because I think Chelsea are a better team than us. They're not. I just think I'm worried that we have a lot of key players missing, and the key players that we may have back won't be fully fit.
Can't believe you predicted us to lose the final.
I'm very concerned that Chelsea are going to get lucky, basically, and catch us when we've not got enough players. They have had an upturn in form as well, but that's not worrying me because we're still winning games. What's worrying me is the fact that we haven't got a lot of important players, and the important players that we might have coming back will probably not be fully fit. So that's why I'm concerned. As if it was a first 11 against first 11, I think we'd do what we did to them a few weeks ago. Just 3 weeks ago, we absolutely wiped the floor with them.
Yeah. I'm going 2-1 to us. Darwin with the first, and Mo coming off the bench to get the winner.
That would be nice.
Sound.
And if Darwin's not starting, I'm still going 2-1, and I'm still going Mo coming off the bench to get the winner. And if Mo's not there, then fucking hell, I don't know. Jaden Dan's coming off the bench to get the winner 2-1.
There's room next to me, Dave, in the shithouse hutch.
No, I still think we'll find a way, regardless. But I'll feel a lot more comfortable if Darwin and Mo make it.
Big one for me is I want to avoid extra time. I fucking hate it. Absolutely hate extra time.
Yeah.
It's just horrendous. It's just shit. They should get rid of it completely. Games should just go to penalties after 90 minutes. Fuck all the extra time shite.
I agree. I think extra time might have had its time. It might have had a role at one point, but now it's just two teams just looking at each other saying, "Well, I'm not taking any risks."
I just think players and also players put so much physically into games now. There's so much intensity in football. I just think you can see it in the legs. There's just things. Yeah. I don't know. It's just the quality drops massively in extra time. I think you don't
so
see
many injuries as well. And not just us. Everyone.
Yeah.
Players are just dropping like flies.
The earlier rounds go straight to penalties, don't they, as well? So I think the final should as well. I think extra time is we gain nothing from it. We learn nothing from it. All it is lads who are already tired running more. for an
Feels
extra,
like an anachronism now to an era that we've moved way beyond. I'd fuck it off completely.
Players going down with cramp and stuff.
Yeah. I agree. You know, like back in the day, you know, extra time was always this chance to make yourself a hero. Whereas now,
and there was some iconic
attack.
moments in extra time, weren't there? You know, back when, you know, Istanbul. Think about like Kara cramping up and playing on and all of that, but like, I don't really want to see. If I've got a choice, I don't want to see players who are impeded by the amount of running they've had to do. I want to see real quality football. So
I agree.
I don't want to see it Sunday. Absolutely don't want to see it Sunday. And also, by the same token, don't want to see penalties. Let's just get it won.
It's fine. You won't, because Mo's coming off the bench to get the winner.
Nice.
And is there anything worse as well when you're watching a game? It's been a decent game. It goes to extra time, which is always boring because no one wants to attack. And then there's a deflected 118th minute winner when you're waiting for penalties. And I enjoy a penalty shootout when it's not Liverpool. And there's nothing worse than that when you're watching the game and you're looking forward to the shootout and it gets taken out of your hands.
Cheated out of it.
Cheated out of penalties by a poxy 118th minute deflected winner.
We're done then, aren't we? Anything else?
Yeah. No, I think that's it, mate.
Oh, I just want to say, did you see Harvey at the end of the game? He just collapsed.
Oh, was it Harvey who was on the floor?
He just, as soon as the whistle went, he just collapsed. He was fucked.
Right.
I was amazed he was kept on because the socks were down like from about an hour in, and he still just kept running and running and running. But you could see like, and he got fouled by Barkley, and it looked like he might have been injured. And Klopp was about to make a change. I think it was when Dan's was coming on.
Yeah.
And then he stopped the change and he was like shouting to Harvey. He's like, "Are you okay?" And Harvey's like, "Yeah." But the whistle went and he just collapsed in a heap. And then Conor Bradley had to come on and pick him up. But it just made me think, yeah, you're not starting on Sunday. There's no way. Back on the bench, impact sub. And Gravenberch got brought off early as well. So I think that tells you a lot about the team selection. Bradley and Gravenberch getting brought off.
You've just made me reflect again there. What about Harvey's attitude before? Proper red, absolutely buzzes off every moment he spends on the pitch. Yeah. Love him. Fantastic.
Same. Brilliant. Okay, we done then?
Yeah, nice one, boys.
Right, well, we'll be back after the final when Mo comes off the bench to get the winner. So until then, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.
Well, the best word I can say, but will describe this was boom. Woo! What was this? It was really good.